Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kira's show here. Now then, whenever we last left off, Deku, Deku and everyone, they were sitting down to eat. Now, as that happens, the music they were playing, it would immediately be interrupted, as there is one single thing happening. This is whenever they would hear that this is not an emergency. The city, yes, it is overrun with infected, but this is crucial. They are broadcasting this to all channels, hoping that whoever is left will at least provide them with intel, and send someone to this point. Now, they're saying that it is crucial that you all receive this message. Anyone hearing this, come to these following coordinates, and or city block. They would say that they need them to come to the outskirts of the city, at the bridge, and that this will be the most crucial part. It is going to involve a lot, and they will need someone there. But that is not the challenge. They are going to need help getting into the city so that they may provide a safe haven and or a way out, and try and take down the infection. With that being said, this is whenever they would realize that what exactly is happening, as helicopters and planes begin to fly overhead. Them all immediately just beginning to cheer, as Deku is looking at the radio. He realizes and somewhat remembers that voice, as he just asked who that was. This is whenever Inko would just say that that was All Might. He's actually in the city. As she immediately begins to write down the coordinates. Now, she is thinking that this is going to be good, but they can't just send anyone out. As Inko would immediately walk up to a man saying that she would go because she'd have an easier time, but she doesn't want to leave anyone without medical help. So he will need to leave. Now she would hand over the note to the man that has been training and actually helping Izuku. As he would take the note, read it, and immediately leave. Heading off in that direction, as Deku would watch him leave from the rooftops. Now, as that happens, this is whenever Deku, he would immediately just get tapped on the shoulder, and he would immediately turn around, seeing that Uraka is actually wearing her gloves. He would just ask her what's up, and she would just say that she had a bit of trouble with that earlier. Yeah, but hey, it's gonna get better, right? All Might's here. He's the number one hero. He can save anyone. Now then, with that being said, this man, I'm going to call him Alex. For now. He is not Alex Mercer before anyone asks, but that is going to be the name I assign him. Alex, he is running through the city. As he finds difficulty, he would eventually get to the bridge in 4 hours, as he does see that it's actually destroyed. He's looking at this as more people begin to run up. Eventually there are 10 to 15 people just standing at the edge of the bridge. As one thing happens, All Might would immediately come down, landing in front of them and asking them to exactly report on what's going on. And or are they all together? They would just say no, that they all got sent from a different settlement. As he would begin to shake some of their hands. Now, as All Might is shaking their hands, he is going over what's exactly happening and how this will affect everything. With that happening, he would just say that they haven't gotten a way to figure out who exactly is behind all this, but he will take them down, along with the rest of the heroes. As you have one lady who has a metal quirk. She's actually lifting up and actually trying to pull everything together. As you also have a mountain lady who is standing in the water actually trying to pull the bridges together. Now, it sounds very dangerous, but the metal hero, she's actually not holding up the bridge. She is trying to force them together while Mountain Lady is doing the same. Actually watching as All Might does join them. He gets underwater and he's actually just pushing and kicking his legs as hard as possible, eventually getting to the point where the bridges collapse together and actually form a pathway. So it would create a curve that eventually does lead back up, as the military and everyone do come in. Now, the man would begin to walk home, and he's actually on the rooftops. As he actually does look around for a second, as he does turn around walking into the house. Finding that it's unlocked, he thinks that this is at least well, walking over to the sink and turning it on. He watches as the pipes rattle for a second and eventually spew out some water. He immediately just dips his hand into it, and he immediately smells it. As soon as he does that, he immediately just bends down and just starts drinking from the faucet. He takes large sips as he eventually does is stop, turn it off, and sit down on the couch for a second. While this is all happening, this is whenever on the other side of the city, the rest of the men that parted ways and or are sticking around with heroes are being engaged and actually watched. Elizabeth Green would have actually turned into one of these men after absorbing them, as she's playing it back in her head. The man's memories and shaking hands with All Might. This man has a good connection, or at least is able to get close enough with All Might. But he may have some of the sentry gear. So this is not good. Now, with that, this is whenever Elizabeth, she is thinking more on this. She's been around long enough to know that there is more to it than quirks. She would immediately begin by following Hasashi, or not Hasashi, the man that has been training Deku, finding the rooftop. She is actually camouflaging herself against the building as she is able to blend in with the stone in her armor. Now, she would have been waiting outside the door as she does one simple thing, turning into the man and immediately walking into the house. As why am I saying Hasashi? Alex would have immediately pulled a gun, jumping up from the bed, or jumping up from the couch, aiming it straight at her head. Elizabeth, disguising herself as this man, would just say, hey, it's okay, it's me. As he would explain that his name is Damien. Now, he would just say that he met back at the bridge, and he was just looking for a place to hide. As he would immediately walk in, closing the door, and immediately bring his fingers to his lips. As you actually do hear a hunter running by, and somewhat sniffing at the door. As soon as that happens, immediately leaving, as both these two would just sigh. He would have immediately just rolled a bottle of water over to him as he still has the gun pointed at him, saying that the heroes, they might not be around, well, they might be here now, but that doesn't change anything. So, as he would finally just put the gun down, saying that he's at least got some confidence in him. But you do know that this isn't good. If even one of those affected get across that bridge, then it might be game over for everyone. Yeah, I'm quite aware. In fact, as he would immediately get rushed by Elizabeth Green forming her armor, and immediately just pushing him up against a wall, holding him by the neck, saying that she's actually counting on that. You're her, aren't you? Yes, actually, I am. As she would throw off the ruse, immediately stalking Hisashi as he just says, what kind of quirk is this? Oh, this isn't a quirk. In fact, don't you know, I'm not anything. I'm quite simply a bioweapon that the government fucked over. Or, more specifically, created and threw to the wind, thinking I'm just some terrorist, pinning anything they can on me and shifting the blame away from themselves. Don't you understand? That doesn't make sense. Well, what are you waiting for? As he would immediately bring the gun to his head, about to fire. Before he could even do that, She immediately begins by just bringing her hand up to his head and begins by crushing it, stopping him from firing the gun, as she immediately absorbs him. Looking through the memories, she finds the young boy she saw in her vision before, or on the street before, finding that it is Midoriya. She immediately would just turn into him, as she actually does sit down on the couch. She immediately just begins to lay down, falling asleep as she has a dream. She dreams of this man's life, everything he's seen and everything he has done. He knows exactly where their base is, he knows who Inko is, he knows her importance to Deku. And she has even seen that boy grow up, his memories and his life. He's innocent. He's his own separate entity, but he's still pure. So she just thinks about this. If she can take him on as a successor, or at least as a child, then she can at least feel a little bit whole, as her child has long since passed, and it has left a wound that has never healed. So she sees it in Deku, as she does one simple thing the next day, walking back to the settlement, as she is waiting. Now, meanwhile, with that, All Might he has made his way to the heart of the Red Zone, as him and a lot of other heroes in the military are actually fighting. He does understand that they were never supposed to use their quirks in war, but this is a good exception, as he would immediately charge up one for all and immediately just charge in, as he goes to fight against this. This doesn't look all that big, but it is about the size of a skyscraper. I believe 45 stories tall. Now, All Might was made aware of the implications, so they did have to make the heroes specialized gear, making them new hero suits and giving them actual tactical visors, so they are able to actually see and monitor the infected. All Might having his made out of a reinforced metal that is similar to what Elizabeth Green's armor has been shown to be, finding its biological makeup and making something similar with a quirk. Now, All Might, he's actually fighting against this as he would do one simple thing. Getting close enough, he's actually able to block the punch and immediately just pull this thing apart and throw the giant hammer directly straight back at it, as he would have knocked it over, actually killing it. As he is actually close by Midoriya's settlements, Deku, he's actually looking through a pair of goggles as he is watching this all happen. He is watching as All Might is actually fighting this thing, immediately cheering him on, as he would put the goggles back down to his neck and immediately grab on his backpack. Putting it on, he would put on his gloves that allow him to have better grip, tightening his shoes and immediately going off for parkour. He begins to run around the city and try and stay clear or at the edge of the red zone, watching exactly what the heroes are doing. He watches as Mount Lady is taking down another behemoth and fighting against it. Now, he's actually too preoccupied watching her do this that he doesn't see the one from down the street behind him, as it is now marching towards him. Deku, he would immediately turn around, immediately realizing what's happening, as this thing is making its way towards him. Now, whenever that's happening, Deku, he's immediately in fear. He doesn't know what to do, but he remembers that All Might is about a block down 2 to 3 blocks down the road. But he's directly in the heart of the red zone. Will I make it? No. You can't lead it back home. If you lead it home, he'll destroy everything. Fuck! As Deku does one simple thing. He immediately just waves his hands up, immediately getting the behemoth's attention. As he begins to shout at it, he would immediately turn and run, as this thing starts charging down the street. As that's happening, you have Elizabeth Green, who, she was already nearby the settlement, but she would watch as Deku immediately just runs by, completely ignoring the building she's on. As she sees him immediately just trying to jump, he would have jumped in between 2 buildings. Now, the space is actually 15 feet apart. As Deku, he's mid-jump, he's not able to make it. Elizabeth would have immediately done one thing, as she immediately just extends out her arm, immediately pushing Deku 2 to 3 feet forward, as his feet actually do hit the edge of the building and he does fall into the ground. She immediately retracts her hand and immediately just closes the door again, hiding from him. As Deku, he immediately turns around, thinking that that's impossible. I wasn't going to make it. No time on that. As he immediately turns and begins to run, climbing up the ladder and parkouring his way through the entire city block. The behemoth is right on his tail, as Deku, he immediately begins to shout for All Might. As All Might would finally hear Deku, he would immediately turn, seeing a giant behemoth. As it actually does bring its hand up, smashing down into the building Deku is on. As Deku, he feels the building go unsteady as he immediately begins to start sliding down. He immediately gets his feet underneath him as he actually does jump through a window and immediately fall off the building, landing onto a car. He was on the 3rd story when he did that and he actually does feel the pain in his back. He opens his eyes looking forward as he immediately just goes to move, falling and hitting onto the street, breaking open his arms, and or busting his elbows. As soon as that happens, Deku, he watches it beginning to bleed as the behemoth begins to start dragging his arm forward. Deku begins to run down the street as All Might, he has taken care of the behemoth that he finished taking care of his behemoth, as he finally killed it by taking out its brain, albeit with some difficulty, since the head wanted to keep regenerating. Now, as soon as he runs over, he would immediately pick up Deku and immediately just throw him to the side, and or just throw him to the top of one building, as he would immediately charge forward, smashing and punching into the behemoth. He does so as he actually does bring up his arm, uppercutting as hard as he can with enough wind pressure. Deku watches as the behemoth immediately goes flying off of the ground, actually trying to get its footing, as All Might begins by punching it with as much force as he can. Deku is in shock as he's watching this, and the epic battle is ensuing. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Green, she just watches Deku, who would look behind him, and continue by scaling up the building. With that, she would have immediately began walking back to Deku's settlement. 1 city block, 5 buildings, 2 buildings. I'm at the entrance. Now, she would have immediately walked in, as she does one thing. She would have immediately gone to see Inko, as she would have walked into the building and locked the door, asking the doctor one simple question as she turns her head, staring at her. Inko would have been confused as she would just ask exactly what happened, and to sit down and explain, as he would have done so. As he would sit down, he would begin to explain everything that's happened, as he would put his hand on Inko's shoulder, saying that they're going to be fine and they're going to be okay, as he would bring her into a hug. Inko was immediately in shock as she would begin to cry, saying that she can't believe they're finally getting out of the city. Oh yes, I am. Huh? As she immediately pushes him away, seeing his eyes turn red. Before she even has the chance to scream, Elizabeth would have brought her hand up to Inko's mouth and immediately began to consume her. Immediately turning into her and just doing one thing. Walking over to the kitchen sink as she begins to pour out the extra cup of tea and just place it down. As she would unlock the door and be open for business. Waiting for Midoriya. Now then, as that's happening, Deku, he is still watching the fight. As he's watching this fight, he would just watch as Mount Lady does actually come in, immediately just grabbing the villain and smashing him to the ground. As another member of their team does join them. Endeavor. Now, Endeavor's suit is a bit different. It's black and he doesn't have the flames appearing off of him. In fact, he actually does have some weird ballistic weapons covering his forearms and his legs. But the ones on his legs are a bit different. They're actually maneuverable and allow him to somewhat glide. But the ones on his arms, they're basic flamethrowers. As Endeavor would immediately begin by just getting forward, launching his All Might, he creates the tornado. Endeavor immediately sparking his arm and blasting off all the fire he can, as he covers the entire behemoth in flames, burning it to an absolute crisp. Deku is completely in shock, as All Might would immediately just jump back up onto the rooftop, Endeavor burning its corpse for good measure. Now, he would just immediately ask what this boy's name is, as Deku would just give him his name. Now, afterwards, All Might would just explain that this is no place for a boy like you, but you did show good progress. Exactly what is your quirk? Oh, sorry, All Might. I don't actually have a quirk. You're quirkless? How were you able to survive out here for so long? Actually, I live in a settlement nearby. There's a settlement this close to the red zone? Oh, okay, well, let's go to your settlement, young man. Then we can at least figure out how many more there are around here. We don't want to cause any casualties by accident. Alright. As they would immediately begin to walk towards Deku's settlement. Deku, he would signal everyone that they're here and that he has heroes, as everyone would immediately be in shock, letting them all in. Endeavor, Mount Lady, and All Might would walk into the settlement as they would watch everyone gather around. Deku immediately bursting into his house and just telling his mom exactly what's happening. Elizabeth, disguised as Zinko, would just give a smile and say that that's great, sweetheart, as she would walk outside, immediately realizing what's happening. These heroes being here makes this bad, but I can keep up this disguise a little longer, or at least talk to this young man. Now, while she's thinking about that, she actually does have a smirk on her face, as Uraka would interrupt her, immediately asking if she can give her a hand. Inko would turn, saying that yes, she can, as Uraka would do one simple thing. She would just bring up her arm, showing her that she has a scrape, and that she actually got it while trying to help them repair the water filters. Oh, that's not good. You can get tinnitus that way, dear. Here, let's go into my office. I think I have something for that. As they would immediately walk in, closing the door behind them, as she would help Uraka. Now then, that is where I'm going to be leaving this part off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys in the next part.